Alrighty, inequalities are almost identical to solving equations. The biggie here is the only difference is that you flip the inequality. Oops, inequality. If you divide or multiply by a negative. All right, that's the biggie. You're going to hear me say it over and over again. If you divide or multiply by a negative, you're going to flip that inequality. Otherwise, it is straightforward, just like solving equations. Okay, so let's do a couple examples. Let's do x plus 4 is greater than 3, whatever. All right, so we have x plus 4. The opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. I draw my line, I stop. Now I ask myself, did I multiply or divide by a negative? Okay? No, I just subtracted. So if I just subtracted, I go down and I immediately keep my inequality. They should be identical because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. So these are identical. All right, I bring those cancel, bring down my x. 3 minus 4 is a negative 1. Okay, now I can go ahead and I can graph it. All right, let's do 0, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. All right. This is x is greater than negative 1. So if it's, remember, if it's just a greater than or less than, it's an open circle. So I go to negative 1, it's an open circle. My variable is on the left, so I can go ahead and follow this arrow. So it goes to the left. All right. So this is your solution. And this is our graph. I'm going to ask you to be able to do both. Okay. Here's the next one. Negative 2 is less than or equal to x minus 4. Okay? All right, so I find my variable. This is x minus 4. The opposite of minusing 4 is adding 4. I draw my line, and I stop. Okay? So I look and I see, what did I do on both sides? I added 4, which is not multiplying or dividing by negative. So I immediately take my inequality, and I drop it. Remember, these should be identical because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. Okay, those cross out. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2, and I drop down my x. Now, remember, at this point, you can go ahead and flip it, or you can keep it like it is, but this is the same thing as x, 2. And then it was, remember, the inequality is eating the x, right? They want to eat the bigger number, so it has to eat the x over here, so I flip it. Now, I can go ahead and graph it. 0, 1, 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. All right, I go to 2. It's got that equal sign under there, so it's going to be shaded in. So 2 shaded in. And then I can, since my variable, this one, my variable's on the left, so I can go ahead and follow the arrow. All right, next one. Example 3. Negative 3x is greater than 15. All right, so this is negative 3 times x. The opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. Draw my line, I stop. Now I ask myself, did I divide or multiply by a negative? Yes. So then I go and I take my inequality and I flip it. Okay? Remember, this time, since we divided and multiplied by a negative, we flipped them. These should be opposite. All right, now those go away. I bring down my x. 15 divided by negative 3 is a negative 5. 0, 5, 10, negative 5, negative 10. All right, I go to negative 5. It's an open circle, and my variable is on the left, so I can follow that arrow. Right? There we go. And last one. All right. 2 is less than or equal to x over negative 3. This is x divided by negative 3. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. I draw my line. I stop. And then I ask myself, did I divide or multiply by a negative? Yes, I multiplied by a negative, so I flip my inequality. Right here, these should be different. Those should be flipped. All right, so negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Those cancel, bring down your x. If you want to, you can go ahead and flip this. Remember, over here, the alligator's eating the negative 6, so he has to over there. Zero, 3, 6, negative 3, negative 6. All right, I go to negative 6. It's a closed circle because it's got that equal to under there. And I can follow the arrow with this one because the variable is on the left. There's my solution. Let's do one more, actually. Sorry, I know I said last one on the last one. 2x is greater than negative 10. All right, so this 2 times x, the opposite of multiplying, is dividing. Draw my line, I stop. Okay, so I just divided by 2. I divided by 2. It is not a negative, so I did not divide or multiply by a negative. That way, or that's why I just go ahead and I keep my inequality right here. I kept it because I divided by a positive. You can divide by positives all day long. Okay, those cancel. Bring down your x. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Now I can graph it. All right, I go to negative 5. It's an open circle, and I can follow the arrow because the variable is on the left. Okay? All right. Here are your practice problems. I want you to solve and graph each one. Do not come in here without your graphs. I'll be looking. Three x is greater than or equal to 24. X minus 4 is less than negative 6. 4 is less than or equal to x over negative 3. 2 is greater than x plus 6. 5, negative 4x is greater than or equal to negative 16. And number 6. Let's do 3 is less than negative x. How about that? All right, have this ready for tomorrow.